Namaste, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom, and I am back again with Soul Dust, The Magic of Consciousness by Nicholas Humphrey. This is the second reading from the book, and to catch you up, this is a book about the consciousness of a human being and what it truly is to be conscious and what it means on different levels and how intricate being conscious is, and being conscious is a choice. So let's get into more of what we were reading. And as I read, I will stop and break some things down and do some other things. So here we go. And I'll try to keep it under at least an hour and under that. You will realize it for no other reason than because my own book does not end here, that I do not think so. My starting point is that consciousness, however elusive, enigmatic from a scientific perspective, is a fact of nature, which means consciousness is a truth. It's a truth that the scientific community cannot deny. It's a truth that the, I want to say, mental health or psychologists circle arena, they can't deny either. Consciousness is the truth of the sum total of your thinking and your feelings combined together. So let's keep forward. Let's keep going. It is not evidently a fact of nature, and if it is not evidently a fact of nature, that can be only because scientists and philosophers have been looking for evidence in the wrong places. I believe this because I think the idea that consciousness has no observable effects is daft, and the notion of a philosophical zombie, a physical duplicate of a conscious human who completely lacks consciousness, is dafter still. However, I have to say I do not think it is daft to suppose that certain aspects of conscious experience could have no observable effects. So, before we go further, I want to consider just to what extent conscious experience will and will not be observable to an outsider. Okay, beloved, so what we need to ask right now, what we need to focus on is, how can consciousness be observed? And what do you look for? Here we go. We know, of course, that not everything that goes on in the mind of a person or an animal has to show up in behavior. There can obviously be purely private mental states. Indeed, more ordinary mental states are private, insofar as they occur without anyone's, except the subject, knowing about them. No one but you knows what your thoughts are right now. Why else would anyone give you a penny for them? No one but me knows about my dreams last night, and as it happens, even I do not know any longer. And beloveds, I made some notes like I always do, and that was that our mental states are private, and there are certain shields that you can put up where your thoughts remain private, and no one, I don't care how sensitive, how clairvoyant they are, if you put as your will, as your intent, as your focus, as your consciousness to keep your thoughts and your feelings private and to be unobservable or invisible, then you are. But it's a choice, and it's a choice that we have to consciously make. Okay, Um, and I want to state too that sometimes our thoughts and feelings, some of us wear our thoughts and feelings on our sleeves. It doesn't take, a lot of imagination or um, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't take a lot of guessing because some of us are just so transparent with what we feel. We don't have poker faces at all. And it's very easy for others to read our thoughts and read what we're thinking and where our hearts, are really coming from and what is going on exactly. And so I want you to understand that when you're in those kind of states, psychic vampires that are around you will siphon your energy, especially when you are that transparent person and you're ecstatically happy or things are going so right for you and it is just showing, and these little negative people, they envy you in that state and they say things and do things, or they come around you and in their private minds and in their private thoughts they siphon off your energy. They take from your feeling. They are like succubi. They're like vampires, psychic energy vampires. So you may think that your thoughts are private, but not always, beloved, not always. So just be careful and be mindful of that. And we want to start being more mindful of what we're thinking, of our thoughts. The words that are playing around, the desires that are being created. Be more mindful, be more in control of your thoughts and your feelings. And sometimes it's good to just allow them to just come, no matter what they are, no matter how bizarre or whatever, just to let them flow. But for you to consciously take notice of the thoughts and the words that are playing inside of you, because it's very important. Okay, let's keep going. Still, we might want to argue that states such as these are only cognitively private. If you were given the penny, you could tell me what your thoughts are. If I had kept a dream diary, I could have shared my dream with you, and even with our language, there would probably be ways of communicating much of the content of these mental states. But that is thoughts, and with feelings, it would seem to be a different matter. How about basic sensory experiences? They undoubtedly seem to be more absolutely private. You would be hard put to it, however much you tried, to reveal the full content of what it is like to experience the smell of a rose or the coldness of a snowball. And beloveds, I wrote, thoughts and feelings influence consciousness. So it really is so deep. Though you could surely communicate some part of it, you would not know how to capture the subjective quality of the sensations, the qualia. And the qualia is what qualifies you to have an opinion, to have a thought, to be able to break something down. It's like your foundation. It's where you jump off, where you start from. That is your qualia. That's where the word qualifications comes from. It's what qualifies you and quantifies you to give not just your opinion, but to voice your thoughts and your feelings. Okay. It is by no means obvious exactly what the problem is. Is it that there is something about the logical status of qualia is as intricate, as intrinsically subjective properties that makes them incommunicable in principle? Or is it simply that in practice we do not have the requisite communication skills? Beloveds, I'm going to read this over because I'm like blah, 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 choking on these words. So here we go. It is by no means obvious exactly what the problem is. Is it that there is something about the logical status of qualia as intrinsically subjective properties that make them incommunicable in principle? Or is it simply that in practice we do not have the requisite communication skills? Could it even be that our minds have been designed to have some kind of firewall around sensory experience, which puts adaptive limits on what others can discover about us? And beloveds, that's just what I was speaking of. You can put shields around your thoughts and your feelings, and others won't be able to pick up on what you're feeling, what you're thinking, no matter how gifted you are. And I know when I first started my path off in this healing and learning about the goddesses and about getting so deeply into spirituality, the woman that was my mentor, so to speak, I could tell when she was reading me. And she said no one else could ever tell when she was reading me. And she says, show me that you know when I'm reading you, because it's so hard for me to believe. And I'm like, okay, begin reading me. And she would, during whatever course it was, she would begin reading me, and I would know it, but I would know it. Let me see where I can put that. She would begin reading me, but she wouldn't tell me. I would feel it. And during that time, in my head, I'm singing, I'm doing some of everything other than letting her focus in on what my thoughts is. I could be singing my ABCs in my head and just looking at her. And that's a shield. And she can't penetrate. She couldn't tell me what I was thinking because I was shielding. I was shielding what I was thinking, what I was feeling. So, beloveds, as children, we learn to kind of tune out. And when you tune out and you let yourself get to that state, no one can zone in on you. So learn how to focus your mind. Learn how to be mindful of your states, of your conscious states. Learn how to be aware and catch yourself when you're doing something unconsciously. Like, I'll sit here and I'll go like this and play with my hair, and I'll watch the videos and I'll be like, what the hell was I doing? Playing with my earrings, all of this stuff. I'm sitting here talking, and all of that is unconscious natural behavior. And I'm like, wow, I'm totally not focused in on what I'm doing physically, but it's manifesting itself. And why it manifests itself that way, I have no idea. I guess I used to do that when I was little or whatever, but it is a part of my consciousness. So here we go. There could be some truth in all these possibilities, but whatever is causing the problem, we must surely accept that there is a problem. We must concede that in practice, even if not in principle, conscious sensations are private in crucial respects, so that nothing the subject can say or do can reveal everything about them. And beloveds, this is so true. And you can have all the gifts in the world, but I found out that I found for myself, when it's personal, Like when you're crushing on somebody, or when you have formed some kind of, I'll use the word psychic connection with them. Sometimes it's hard to read more into the situation because of the way you're tapped into it, of the way you're tied into it, of the way that, for me personally, when I'm using my abilities and reading different situations and everything, I can be objectionable because I just can. I'm not tied to the situation by my thoughts or by my feelings, or either I can shut that off and still be able to tune in. But when I have an attachment to someone, for whatever reason, it's very hard for me to disassociate and give them a clean reading because I'm attached, because I have thoughts and feelings that have formed doubts in my own mind, so I can't see clearly into their thoughts and feelings. So that's how that goes. Sometimes I've had people to ask me, well, if you're so gifted, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, it don't work like that, okay? It don't. When you really really want to use it, like when you want to use it for your own personal use, if you want to see if somebody's feeling you, or what the hell does that really mean, and you want to go into their space and consciously or unconsciously kind of figure out what's going on, it don't work that way. It just don't. You're at a loss, or at least I am. I should say that I haven't developed to the point where, even if I'm attached to that person, by my own thinking or by my own feelings, that I can still read the situation with 100% clarity. That doesn't happen. There's always some forms of doubt that are there, and when you have these forms of doubt, you don't get your reading, or your interpretation of what you get is a little cloudy, So it is what it is. There we go. However, I would say that this is all we need concede. We need not and should not accept either of two strong propositions, namely, 1. While an outside observer is restricted to studying behavior, she will not even be able to detect the phenomenal consciousness is present. And even if the observer were allowed complete access to the subject's brain, she would not be able to discover the full content. And beloveds, this is so powerful. I have a new grandson who is 2 years old. Love you, Jaguar. And 2 months old, I should say. And he has such a serious little countenance all the time. He'll wrinkle up his little brows, or he'll look at you so serious. And most of the times I'm wondering what is going on in that mind. All the thoughts, all of... He's still so open. Nothing has shut him down yet. So he is in touch with everything. And sometimes I just watch him looking around at things. And it's amazing. I watch him on videos because he's in California and I don't get to see him that much. But I'm finna start seeing my babies. Okay, getting back to this. Look at the issue. Let us look at these two issues. First, why do I believe that consciousness must reveal its presence, if nothing more, at the level of behavior? The reason is the ultimate one, the hand of natural selection. Since consciousness as we know it is a feature of life on earth, we must take it for granted that, like every other specialized feature of living organisms, it has evolved because it confers selective advantage. In one way or another, it must be helping the organism to survive and reproduce. And of course, this can happen only if somehow it is changing the way the organism relates to the outside world. So, belovedness, consciousness is part of our evolution. Consciousness is part of the evolutionary process. And being conscious, I want to say, fires up your ability to be conscious too. The more conscious you are, the more it expands. Your consciousness expands. It allows you to grasp more and more, to see more and more, to know more and more, and to feel more and more. So you can have a consciousness, say yesterday you had an awakening of a reality of one thing, and today you come into a whole brand new consciousness that changes everything you thought, changes everything how you look at something. And I want you to know that just with changing your consciousness, you have become altered. You have, your DNA has become altered, your thinking patterns have become altered, your behavior will change simply because your consciousness changed. And because of that, I can say for myself, when I was sick, I willingly changed my consciousness to wanting to be healthy and not wanting to suffer, not wanting to be in pain, not wanting to be sick, not wanting to be in the boat of my ancestors, because what I have is ancestral. It's been passed down through the generations. I am predisposed to my feelings and my thoughts and my consciousness affecting certain metabolic, organic materials in my body, even the way my hormones go about their functions with the other organs. It's very hormonal, not hormonal. It's very it's as though a consciousness has been passed down. That's part of the consciousness. I hope this is making sense. I hope I'm saying it right, beloveds, because it's very important for you to fully understand yourself as a conscious being. And we do have unconscious thoughts, but we need to be more mindful of our conscious thoughts. And when we have unconscious tendencies, I should say, we should start looking at them and start mapping them. Sometimes it's best to keep a journal or just to watch certain things as they play out. Some things will repeat in your life. They will start patterns. And you have to take control. You have to be consciously aware of these patterns and what you can do to either rework them or to delete them out of your own being, your own awareness, your own cell memory, and so forth and so on. And beloveds, like I said, this is where magic comes from. It's about knowing yourself. It's about knowing your mind and your will and aligning them to be in harmony with each other and to manifest with intent exactly what you want to see happen. And it takes a certain amount of belief in yourself. It takes a certain amount of self-love and self-trust and self-knowledge. So start establishing those things, beloveds. Let me move on because it's already 25 minutes into. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to read that again. Now, how could this be happening? Conscious creatures do not smell different or look prettier. Consciousness does not provide extra strength or better health. Instead, and I disagree that consciousness doesn't provide better health. It does. Because when you are consciously working your consciousness, your thoughts and your feelings take on an energy of their own, and that energy it flows around you. It vibrates from you. So I disagree with him on that, but it is what it is. Instead, consciousness can have its effect on survival only by changing what we may loosely call the creature's psychology. In other words, being phenomenally conscious must be influencing how the creature thinks or what it wants or what it believes in just such a way that it now acts in the world in adaptive ways it would not have done otherwise. And again, beloved, that goes to before you become conscious. We peed on ourselves. When we were babies, we peed and pooped on ourselves. And when potty training began, we became conscious that we were peeing and pooping on ourselves and that we needed to change that behavior, that there was something else that needed to happen. And consciously, we began not peeing and pooping on ourselves, and we began going to the bathroom and, ultimately cleaning ourselves and not needing someone to come and change our diapers. So there is the adaptive ways. We adapt so that we can survive. We are conscious of so many things. And right now, I'll give you an example. We are conscious that we have elected a man who may not be the best leader for the United States of America, that he does not represent the thinking and the feelings of the common man, that he may not even be in touch with those people's hearts and minds and souls. Thus, he's not the best judge of what they need, or how to help them from one place to the other. And so what is happening is we are adapting. We are evolving. And that change is not always smooth. Potty training wasn't smooth. You didn't go, oh, okay, I'm conscious now. I don't have to pee in my diaper anymore. Okay. No, it was a process. It had to be practiced, and you had to get used to what you needed to do for yourself to govern your own self. And it's the same thing that's happening right now I'd say globally, because it's not just in America. I would really say it is globally around the world that we are all coming into a conscious awareness that we need to be more conscious, that changes need to happen, that we do have to adapt in order to survive in the way that we need to survive, in order to pass on the knowledge and the wisdom that we need to pass on. And the best thing that you can give a child, a human being, period, is a self-awareness, is an awareness of itself, that it has value, that he or she matters in the scheme of things, in the universal scheme of things, that you aren't some random sperm or egg that got united and you're here. No, you need to consciously know that you made it. Out of all those sperms and eggs, you made it. And now you, from your own conscious mind and your own conscious being and your own conscious spirit, you live and you connect with everything that is present, whether it's visible or invisible, seen or unseen, whether it's earthly or whether it's celestial. You connect and you interact with it. And I really believe that more of us need to be aware and conscious of that we are conscious, sentient beings. Our consciousness should be something that we learn about from day one. As soon as we go to school, we should have something that's going to teach us about our consciousness, that little part of us that says, yeah, do that, do that, do that. And then the other one that says, no, don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. Don't do it. To let us know that you have the ability to make choices. And your thoughts and your feelings forms your consciousness. And your consciousness is going to speak to you. And even if you don't know what to do, listen to that awareness, because it's yours. You formed it. It's yours. It's going to speak to you. You're never alone. You never have a way that feels so cut and dry that's just it. And the reason that is because you have control of your conscious state of mind. You can be put in prison, locked up in solitary confinement, and in your own state of mind, you're in bliss, you're in paradise. And you don't let the outside affect that inside. That's your consciousness. That's where you choose to be present. That's what you choose to allow to affect you. Your reasonings, your way of adapting, of coping, your way of being. It's a consciousness. Just like when Nelson Mandela was imprisoned during apartheid. He had already formed his consciousness. His conscious being had already been formed. He knew who he was. He had a sense of who he was. He had a sense of justice. He had a consciousness regarding justice. He had a consciousness regarding human beings and how they should be treated, what their liberties and their freedoms should be. And where he was, he didn't let his circumstances dictate to him who he was. He did not let the fact that you're incarcerated affect his freedom. He was free here, he was free here. So he was free, regardless if he was locked behind bars or not. And a lot of us need to get to that level of consciousness. And it all begins with knowing yourselves, beloveds. If you really, really, really look deeply within yourself, if you really, really, really look deeply and listen to the thoughts that are circulating around in your head, your monkey mind, your serious mind, your spiritual mind, if you really tap in to the way that you're thinking and you're feeling, no matter what is happening outside or externally, you can hold it together internally. And you're being able to hold it together internally, like I said, can't nobody get in there and really mess with you. Okay? If you've got yourself grounded enough and you're consciously aware of what you want to take place and how you're going to do this time, or how you're going to do this project, or how you're going to allow another person to interface or interact with you, what you will allow and what you won't allow, it's all relative. And it's all about your conscious choice, your conscious decisions, your conscious thoughts, and your conscious feelings. And once you're there, you'll have unconscious thoughts and you'll have unconscious feelings. But the more you stay in your conscious state, your unconscious stuff will become conscious to you. And you won't be acting unconsciously so much, unless it's just, like I said, like me, sitting here playing with my hair. It's unconscious. It's and I'm sure it looks like it's a nervous tick or condition or whatever, but it just is what it is, beloveds. And don't get so hung up on it, okay? I don't get so hung up on it. I'm not on a TV show. If I needed to present myself professional, more professional than what I am, I can, because I'm every woman. I can be every woman. I can be that professional. I can be that Ivy League, yuppie-minded, bougie, uppity, my shit don't stink kind of person. But I can also be the most down-to-earth, truthful, salt of the earth kind of being that there is. So I'm multifaceted that way, and I'm conscious of that. I don't let people tell me who I am or what I should look like or how I should talk or how I should act based upon their opinions of whether they're offended or if they agree. Or I'm not that needy where I need you to agree with me on what I look like, on what I feel like, on the way I talk. I'm not that needy where your validation means more to me than my authentic self, or being my authentic self, or being my highest self, or being my spiritual truth. Your opinion don't matter more than mine, and that's a conscious choice. And more of us need to make those conscious choices. And you begin to make those conscious choices the more you get into yourself, the more you're able to look at yourself. There were times when I would never do a video. There were times in my life I wouldn't look in the mirror. Would not look in the mirror for anything in this world. Would go into the bathroom and not look, not see. And that was a conscious choice. I didn't like what I saw, so I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to be reminded of what I looked like, of who I was, of where I came from, of my mother. I didn't want to see any of that. And like I said, consciously, was not unconsciously. With me, it was very conscious. I'm not looking in the mirror. I don't want to see. And even when I needed to take my fat butt somewhere and represent my fat butt being Miss Piggy Fat Butt, being Miss Cutie Cute Fat Butt, or whatever, and I would have to look in the mirror to put on some makeup or something. Oh, it was just the eyes. Just the eyes. It wasn't anything else. If I needed to do the hair, it was just the hair. it was not focusing on the whole complete picture, you know. Now, oh, it's all about the complete package. It's all about examining and exploring my own consciousness. You know, that which was given to me. I'm consciously aware of the thoughts and the feelings that have been passed on, either generational or that I've learned in school and from friends and just from hanging out or whatever. You know, I'm totally aware and conscious of myself in that way. But I realize there are other ways that I'm unconscious of myself. I've gone into unconscious status, I guess you could say. And part of that, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, a lot of that has to do with my, how can I say this? My celibacy. There we go. It's was a conscious decision, and it's one that has played itself out for 20 years now. And unconsciously, I would not allow myself to stay in states of loneliness or alone or of anything of that nature, you know, the comforting aspect of human touch. Unconsciously, I shielded myself from those things. And you have to excuse me, there's a storm going on and the winds are just all over the place right now. So if you hear the doors and the winds and I'm loving it myself. I love storms. So I love the energy. Consciously and unconsciously, there is so much of us. We are such dynamic beings that we really need to start exploring ourselves consciously and unconsciously. And as you do, like I said, you start expand, your consciousness starts to expand, and you start to grow in so many different ways, and you become more intimate with yourself. You become more intimate with your thoughts and your feelings, and you become more intimate with your gifts and your ability to manifest things because you're mindful, you're thoughtful, and you're seeing how things progress. You're seeing how 1 minute you thought this or you felt that, and then you thought that, and then you watched it happen, and you watched it play out. And beloveds, that's what the soul is, and that's what the soul does. And we are living souls. We are living states of consciousness. And I want you to hear that, because that came from Mama. That did not come from me. Living states of consciousness. Wow. Wow. Okay. Back to it. Let's see. In later chapters, I will explore in detail just how this may be working, how the effects may be present on several levels, and how they may be more or less important for different kinds of animals, pushing the evolution of consciousness along species-specific lines. As we will see, human beings with their developed sense of conscious self are most likely in a class of their own. But the important point for now is that if natural selection can see the effects, whatever they are, of the changed psychology on behavior, presumably so too can other outsiders observe, if only they knew where to look. What is more is these observers can see what natural selection sees. They should also be able to see what it is about it that is beneficial, and hence why natural selection has favored it. Thus, they should be well on their way to constructing a story about why consciousness evolved. Beloveds, the whole thing right there was about natural selection. And if you don't know what natural selection is, I invite you to Google it first of all. Natural selection is that's the like the more fit or the survival, the strong survives, blah blah blah. That's the natural selection thing that Darwin came up with. And we choose one color over another, we choose one size over another. We tend to just choose something, and that choice is based upon our consciousness, and that consciousness is based upon our natural selection of what's been passed down to us. Okay? So it's very important to understand that. Okay, let's move forward. Still, do not get me wrong about this. I was not suggesting that because consciousness has been designed by natural selection, this means that every one of the features of the design must be able to be seen from the outside. Rather, what it means is that every one of these features must be contributing to the beneficial effects that natural selection does see. Now that's deep, beloveds. That's so deep, because not everything we see will show us the power of natural selection in our consciousness. There are some beings who carry victim status, like it's just a part of who they are. And that's just part of their natural selection of how they have conditioned their consciousness to be in order to survive. They've chosen the more passive role, the more beta role, the I'll follow kind of a role. And then there are those who are so dominant, that you can't stand them, because the dominance is an arrogance, and they want everything to appear outside. But if you have any gifts, you look at them and you look at them inside, and you're like, what are you beating on your chest like you're King Kong for, and there's nothing inside of you? You're hollow. You're full of hot air. You're bullshit. You're bullshit. You're total bullshit. And it just is what it is. So, beloveds, natural selection helps to form your consciousness, but believe me, you can take control and influence your consciousness, your will. Okay? Allow your will to manifest and create the consciousness that you desire, so that it's not just a projection. It is your natural state of being. Get into finding out what your natural state of being is. I'm learning that my natural state is unconditional love. I can see a lot of things and look at you from a human perspective and understand, damn, you're fucked up, but because you're mama's child, I still love you. And mama got plans for you that, I may not know about. So it's not up for me to judge you on your appearance, on your fucked upness, on your conscious decisions or your unconscious decisions. Because although I may be affected by it, I can choose not to allow myself to be impacted by it. And so if I allow someone else's conscious choices to affect me, then that's giving them more power than me keeping my own power. And I'm pretty much have gotten used to having my own power and keeping my own power. In my wisdom and in my maturing, I have learned not to say everything that I think and feel, no matter how valid a point or how much of a truth it is to me. You know, my truth doesn't have to be truth to you. So that's a process. That's a conscious evolutionary process to allow, you know, and that comes from developing and understanding what unconditional love is. Okay, here we go. Let's move forward. It would be easy to misunderstand this, so let me tell a parable to make it clearer. Imagine that in a certain country, the government has a Department of Happiness. Woo! Department of Happiness. Who would be running that in America, I wonder? Who would be the CEO of Department of Happiness? I wouldn't want the job myself. Okay, Department of Happiness. Whose minister has the job of maximizing the general happiness of the population? The minister must therefore be on the lookout for things that put people into a good humor. One day, he comes across a group of people who are looking at a cartoon and smiling broadly. And from where he stands, the minister cannot actually see the picture they are looking at, and so he does not get the joke. Still, he can see the positive feelings the cartoon is eliciting, and that is enough to persuade him to take departmental action to breed this cartoon by ordering additional cartoons in the same style. So he does this, and the next day he sees more people laughing at the new drawings. He repeats his order, and soon enough, cartoons in this special style are everywhere. The style has become, as it were, a ministerial design feature. But note that at no point has the minister himself needed to know what the cartoons look like. All he needed to see is the evidence that the cartoons exist and that they are funny. It's deep. My point is that, likewise, natural selection need never have known what conscious experience is actually like for the subject. All it must have seen is evidence that conscious experience exists and that it is in some way life-enhancing. This being the case, it is possible and even quite likely that the detailed phenomenon comment of sensations will not ever have been evident in behavior. And so today, our visiting scientist, while she relies on outside observations, will be able to get only halfway to discovering the facts of consciousness. She should certainly be able to detect that the special inner state exists in some creatures, and that in whatever way their behavior suggests, it adds to their success in life. However, this may well be as far as she can go. Yet, what if she were able to search inside their heads? Why do I believe that an observer who can go beyond behavior down to the level of brain activity should be able to discover all that there is to know? And beloveds, I wrote the word patterns down next to that because so many of us don't realize that we live life in patterns, in seasons and cycles. And as those seasons and those cycles come back around, we repeat the same behavioral processes. And we repeat them because our consciousness has not evolved or expanded. And thus our thoughts and our feelings about that situation, we can't get a different result because we still feel the same and we still think the same about the situation. And so we have to start being able to use our consciousness to dissect our thoughts and our feelings. And not just to see where they come from, if they're ours or if they're traditional and have been passed down, or if they're the latest trend or whatever, in that kind of a scheme or plan of things. We really have to get back to the point where we're able to look at ourselves in the mirror. We're able to look at ourselves objectionably, truthfully, where we don't need to go ask somebody else, how does this look? What does this do? You have your own opinion, And from there you go. You don't need someone else to govern your every thought, your every opinion, your every feeling. Do you need somebody to validate you? Do you consciously really need somebody to validate you? When you hear something, do you repeat it in order for somebody to validate that that's what they said? That's a childhood behavior. I notice my grandchildren will do that. You'll tell them something. We'll pick up so-and-so and so-and-so and so and do this and do that. And instead of saying, okay, Nana, and going and doing as we did when we were children, they'll sit there and say, so, Nana, you want me to do so-and-so and so-and-so and do this and then do that? That's what I just said, didn't I? So why are you asking me? Why, if you heard me, why do you need to ask me? Because consciously they're still processing it. And they're processing, they don't want to do it, first of all. Why they got to do it, why I chose them and not that one to do it. I have 5 grandchildren. And it's just this whole convoluted thing. But I tell them, when Nana was growing up, I did not sit there and repeat everything back to you. Unless my mama asked me, what did I say? Then you get on it. But I did not sit there, Mama, you want me to do this, and this? My mom would have told me up, okay? She would have told me I ain't no parrot, I ain't gonna keep repeating myself. I've taught you, you do this and you do it this way and that way. Otherwise, let me tell you something. It's your consciousness. Okay? It's your conscious, whether unconscious or conscious, that you're resisting and you're saying, I don't really want to do this, so I'm going to sit up here and delay it all I can, and, I'm going to question what she want me to do, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off because you're way more intelligent than that. But then I have to sit back and I have to realize consciously, Valerie, this is a different generation. They don't have the expectations put upon them that were put upon you. The world that they live in is not the same one that you lived in, to a certain degree. Common sense is a conscious choice. And beloveds, we can repattern and reprogram ourselves from any kind of behavior that we have allowed ourselves to get into that has become a pattern or that we feel stuck in. All we have to do is catch ourselves, and in that catching of ourselves, alter it, figure out another route. That establishes a different consciousness, a different state of your being and of your relating and of your seeing and of your knowing. And you go about things in a different manner because now you're more consciously aware of it. Just like when I told my grandchildren, don't keep asking, when I tell you to do something, go do it. Don't sit up here, well, Nana, you want me to do this, and do I have to do that, and do this, and I have to sit there no. How many times you done did that? Do you really need me to sit here and tell you? That's your conscious decision to play with me, to have me sitting up here retelling everything while you sit there and go, I ain't gonna play. So, they know when I tell you to do something, go do it. And you know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, then you ask a question. And I'm not going to get mad at you because you don't know how to do something, or you need it explained how to do it in a different way. But as far as you sitting back here just parroting what I said and delaying and playing, that ain't going to sit well with me. And we gonna have some issues. And so I really had to learn how to deal with that. And now that I'm conscious, and I'm claiming my consciousness. Yeah, I'm conscious. I'm conscious, and that's not just a word I throw out there. I know the meaning of the word conscious. And I am conscious of my consciousness. And I am mindful of my consciousness, and I plan on remaining conscious in no matter what happens, in this world, in this state of affairs that are going on. I'm going to be conscious, and I'm going to consciously speak my mind, and I'm going to share what it is to be conscious. Okay. I am going to, I'm going to stop right there. I'm at an hour, so I'll stop there, mark it, put my little thing in here, and I'm going to pull a card from my Isis Oracle just because I felt moved to do that today. I hope you can see. There she is. Isis Oracle. This is the Isis Oracle, and it's a deck by Elena Fairchild, and it is so beautiful to me. This is the outside of the card. I hope you can see it. And that's a beautiful scarab beetle, a winged scarab beetle that's there. Okay, and I'm going to show you the bottom card. They're so beautiful. I love these cards. This is the Divine Sisterhood. Okay, I'm going to shuffle, and as I'm shuffling, I'm going to ask Spirit to guide us with what we need to know about the consciousness from this reading that we've done in the book, and how it will best serve us in our evolution. Also, I call upon the energy, the awareness, the consciousness of Isis to not only speak to us, but to show us what we need to see in order to be more consciously aware, in order to be more aware of ourselves when we're being, I want to use the word objectionable, where we can stand back and look at something without judging it or feeling or thinking a certain way based upon our own stuff. But we can look at it and say, that's that and that's this, and not be influenced by our own life experiences. I like that because that happened to me, and blah 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 blah. I don't like that because that. That's not being objectionable. We want to be able to be objectionable. We want to be able to be consciously present, and we want to be aware of both of those states. So, beloveds, we have a lot to do when it comes to working on ourselves. And like I said, I love this deck, and I know that whatever wisdom comes forth will be exactly what we need today. And this card just almost jumped out of my hand, so I'm going to read it. Let's see. There we go. Can you see it? There we go. Okay, this is the Miracle of Isis, Miraculous Healing of the Goddess. And I'm going to just pull one more, beloveds, because I that one jumped out, okay? And so, here we go. Here we go, here we go. Okay, Spirit, give us exactly what we need from this generalized reading. Give us a direction to go in order to become conscious the way we need to be conscious, in order to survive this age that is upon us, and to pass on what we need to pass on to the next 7 generations. Okay, I'm cutting the deck. And the card, it's a deep one, beloveds. There we go. This is the Mother of Life, nourishment of the Golden Grain Mother. And so, I am going to read exactly what Elena Fairchild wrote. The first one was, and this is Isis riding the back of Osiris, and I love it. And he's got her, and her wings are there. And I just love the integration of the two of them. Look at their eyes and the way they are in union with each other. They're connected, and that's a beautiful thing. Okay, Miracle of Isis. Here we go. Miracle of Isis. Beloveds, these Miracle of Isis and Mother of Life card, they're one right after the other one in the deck. So here we go. 106. 106 is Isis. Miracle of Isis, miraculous healing of the goddess. Isis was known as a talented practitioner of the healing arts and was capable of miraculous healing. For you, beloved, she offers a miracle healing. No matter how much you have struggled with a particular matter, no matter how impossible it may seem to imagine your life without this old wound, addiction, problem, relationship issue, or inner struggle being a part of it, you are guided now to accept the possibility of miraculous healing, to let go and let the goddess be. The Lady Isis wishes to lift a load that has become too heavy for you, to heal on your own, beloved. She cannot take something away from you if you are not willing to release it to her. However, release for healing means trust, letting go of attachment to outcome, and have that outcome might, and how that outcome might be achieved, and opening to the divine genius of healing that seeks to express the perfection of divine love through you now. And beloveds, that's what I feel with the election the way it is in the United States right now, and what is taking place after that election. I really, really, really believe that we're only looking at it from a microcosmic point of view that has been consciously put into our awareness. And we are being asked now to consciously change our awareness and to be conscious of more than just that awareness, to expand our awareness, and that we are capable of governing and moving forward in a way that does not need the permission of another being. That is vital. That is key to healing. And this card is about healing. I see why it jumped out the deck, because it is about healing. And healing is miraculous, beloveds, because you participate in your healing. You agree to healing. So we have a lot to heal in America. We have a lot to heal globally. And this is the beginning of the healing. But before you can have the beginning of the healing, the scar has to go. Those dead cells have to scabe off and scabe away so that the new healing and flesh underneath can renew itself. That's birth, death, and rebirth, beloveds. Okay, let me shut up and just read. Here we go. To hand something over for healing, especially when it has been a long term, and I know I read this. To hand something over for healing, especially when it has been a long term or persistently difficulty, or simply seems to be too great or overwhelming to be healed, takes a radical change of mind and heart. To dare to hope without becoming attached to how or when something can happen. To surrender without forgetting. To follow your intuition and act accordingly. To trust, even though you have been disappointed or hurt in the past. All these things take skill and courage. Yet, these are the requirements for us to surrender into the great healing of divine love. Lady Isis speaks through the oracle and says to you that recovery from trauma and emotional healing is not only possible, but if you are willing, it can happen for you now. No matter the depth of grief, loss, despair, fear, or anger, love can and will absorb it all. This oracle is also an indication that a spiritual gift or awakening of deep healing ability at a new level are coming your way. Keep your eyes and heart open and let go of doubt or fear about opening up to a new level of proficiency. Dedicate your work to divine love and trust that it will flow through you stronger now. You are capable of great work when you trust in your own heart and the love of the divine flowing through you with total surrender. Beloved, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. And I understand why this card needed to express itself, the energy of this card, why it came forward and needed to express itself during this reading, because so many of us are feeling a culmination of pain. We're feeling a culmination of pain from our ancestors. We're feeling a culmination of pain from our children, those that are here and those yet to come. And while we're feeling all of this, we're being made aware of just what has been going on and what we have been co-signing. You know, we've been co-signing it because we didn't protest. We didn't raise our voices. We didn't do what we needed to do. And so now we find ourselves here. And we know that in order for things to change, we now have to raise our voices. There is no being silent anymore. There is no, oh, I'll let so-and-so deal with it. Because you don't want to let so-and-so deal with it, because so-and-so has their own consciousness that they're going to bring to the table and feed your children and your family and you with. And what you gonna do? Just open up your mouth, swallow it down, and that's it. You know? Or you gonna say, I can't eat that, and get up from the table and walk away and go make you something else. We're at a very powerful time in our evolutions, beloveds. A lot of us take so much for granted. Okay, let me get to the other card. Mother of life, nourishment of golden grain mother. Okay. Like I said, it was the next page. We can sometimes fall into existing, doing rather than truly living. We only know that this happens when suddenly our life seems dry, depleted, filled with tasks, or it feels like we are stuck in a rut or habit that may have been comfortable but is becoming stifling and suppressing. Isis, the mother of life, holds the ability to restore even the most numb, resistant, and difficult circumstances and people back into life. She calls to you now, seeking to bestow gifts of life upon you. See, some people think they have gifts to give to others, and they don't realize they are open to receive gifts themselves, but they have to be willing to receive. You can't give somebody something that they are not willing to take, especially if it is spiritual gifts in nature, and that's in place because of free will. So here we go. Isis is known. Here we go. I skipped a part. Let me just shut up and read. I'm going to read this over. That's what I'm being told, to read it over and shut up. Because I'm putting personal stuff in here, so I'm being told to stop it. We can sometimes fall into existing and doing rather than truly living. We only know that this happens when suddenly our life seems dry, depleted, filled with tasks, or it feels like we are stuck in a rut or habit that may have been comfortable but is becoming stifling and suppressing. Isis, the mother of life, holds the ability to restore even the most numb, resistant, and difficult circumstances and people back into life. She calls to you now, seeking to bestow gifts of life upon you. Be bold and brave. Open your arms and receive. Isis is known as the sustainer of life, able to restore, nourish, and bring to life that which has been cast aside or lost, that which you have considered beyond repair, a loss beyond a lost cause or deadened. There are parts of your life, beloved initiate, this in any discomfort. Wait a minute, beloved. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Alright. Isis is known as the sustainer of life, able to restore, nourish, and bring to life that which has been cast aside or lost, that which you have considered beyond repair, a lost cause or deadened. There are parts of your life, beloved initiate, that are ready to receive more life. You will be able to recognize this in any discomfort that you are currently experiencing in your life. Discomfort and unfamiliarity is where life is attempting to break through to you and to reach through the walls that you may have once created to protect yourself, but now you need to either climb over, demolish, or at least open up with some doors and windows. The tricky part is that most often we don't consciously realize that we are not living. It is not until we start to live more trustingly that it becomes obvious that we once were hiding ourselves from life. Life is calling you to partake more so of her gifts of experience. This oracle brings encouragement and guidance for you to learn skills and practices that nourish you and your community. You have the Divine Mother within you. How shall you offer nourishment through her? It might be through cooking, through learning to be more present in your body, and taking time to express your feelings or reality. Or it might be through taking a dance or yoga class, spending time in nature or with animals, for example. Have you been thinking of joining a class or group, learning a new hobby or skill? The Oracle of the Mother of Life is confirming that you are on the right track, to keep open to opportunities and further instincts about pursuing these matters. And you know that if you are a bit worried that it is a stretch for you, then it is even more likely you are on the right track. Stay connected to your heart and give yourself permission to grow. This oracle also brings guidance that new people, places, and things will enrich your life in the near future. And if you have been praying for freshness, inspiration, and more fun, know that your intentions and urges to reach out and act in new ways are part of how your prayers are being answered now. Very important, beloveds. The Mother of Life Oracle also asks for patience. In the same way that there is a growth cycle required before a child can be an adult and tap into the energy of the mother within to nourish him or herself, so too do certain life phases require patience as they mature. As you journey into the new life seeking you, you will need to be patient as you learn and grow. You will eventually become very comfortable with that which at first is distinctly uncomfortable. It just takes time, patience, not running away, and being present with yourself. Just like the Mother of Life, who never leaves you. She is always waiting for your return to her embrace as you open to the new unfoldment of experience in your life. And beloveds, I'm going to read the ritual and the invocation, and then that will conclude today's Soul Dust reading. Again, this is Soul Dust, The Magic of Consciousness, by Nicholas Humphrey. Okay, here we go. Ritual with the Mother of Life. You may like to light some candles or do this ritual in a softly lit room without any strong sunlight or absolute darkness. Rest quietly in a space where you will not be disturbed, preferably sitting or lying with your spine relatively straight, and close your eyes or rest them lightly half open, with a sense of gazing inwards and having soft focus as your eyes gaze slightly downwards and in front of you. And beloveds, I found for when I was beginning to learn how to ground myself, to center myself immediately, or to just put myself in a state of being, one of the things that I did was to look at the tip of your nose and just quiet your thoughts and look at the tip of your nose. And it brings you right here to the center. It works if you practice it. So from me to you, you've just been given a gift. Visualize or sense that within your heart there is a beautiful golden light that extends until it becomes an endless field of golden grain, wafting lightly in the breeze under a clear blue sky. How nourishing is that? Just the thought of that. Visualize or sense that within your heart there is a beautiful golden light that extends until it becomes an endless field of golden grain, wafting lightly in the breeze under a clear blue sky. The grain is almost ready to harvest, and the light seems sun-kissed and golden. There is warmth and a pleasant earthy scent in the air, and warmth on your skin that is neither too hot nor too cold. You can sense yourself walking or resting amongst the golden fields of grain, feeling the bounty, peace of life. You become aware of a golden woman gazing down at you from the sky. Her dress is the grain. Her hands are the winds, gently caressing your face and fair, and her eyes are the sun and the moon. You feel great love. Imagine in that state of connection with the Mother of Life, you can breathe in deeply and breathe out and release through your breath any fear, doubt, or attachment, even any of your history that will prevent you from really opening up to live more fully into all parts of your being now. Your body, your sexuality, your spirituality, your creativity, your intuitive and inspirational mind, and so on. Just breathe in and let go as you breathe out. Imagine the gentle breeze of the Mother of Life sweeping away that which you release and replenishing you with her unconditional love. When you are ready, just open your eyes fully and breathe in and out, being aware of your body and coming completely back into the present moment. The invocation to the Mother of Life. You can say this invocation, this call to the Divine Mother of Life, to finish the ritual above, or as an independent practice to assist you in taking the great leap over and over again from existence to really living. I call to the Blessed Mother of Life. Gift me with boldness, courage, and love. Help me let go of the past. Help me surrender the ways I have shrunk back from life, to protect and hide parts of me that were hard to deal with. Let me know the fullness of life, love, and acceptance of myself and others. Let me just be with you without pretense or hiding. Help me grow joyfully and be myself in the world. I accept your help. In unconditional love now, life flows through me, full and unique. Ashe, 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 aho. And namaste, beloveds. Namaste. Again, I just want to say that I am so glad and motivated that I am doing this reading about consciousness, because excuse me for 1 minute. Get some light. There we go. I just grabbed my curtain. I just realized how dark it is in here. I just want to say I'm feeling truly blessed to be able to do this. And right now I'm making some connections with people in my life that is just amazing. And I'm having to sit back and pull myself back and realize exactly what's going on. And what's going on is the fulfilling of what I've been asking for. I've been looking for certain type of people, certain people with certain heart. I don't want to say conditions, but certain heart consciousness. There we go. Certain heart consciousness. And I'm finding them. And I'm listening to them, and I'm following them, and I'm looking at my own life be enriched. And just by having that support of someone who knows what you're talking about. And when you have dreams and you want to talk about them, you can. And I just got out of a situation where I was sharing everything with someone, a good friend or a soulmate, a sister, and she sold me out. And so usually it would have taken me a while to kind of recover and to start trusting again, but that's not the case right now. And I've opened the door to new people in my life, and these new people are awesome, awesome. And I want to give a shout out to Mama AZ. Thank you so much. You don't know how much your friendship means to me. Your maturity, your wisdom, your visions, your clarity, your doubts and insecurities, your curiosity, and your consciousness, and the knowledge that you have of yourself. It is so empowering to me. It's important, beloveds, that we put people in place in our lives who mirror us, who reflect back to us who we consciously know we are, or what we're consciously striving to be. And it's very important for, especially now in this time, to grasp the need to bond with certain individuals that you can trust, to establish community, to be able to know that even in your immediate circumstances, things may be challenging or difficult, but all you have to do is reach out. All you have to do is pick up a phone, and talk. And sometimes a lot of times it's not even about you. It's about sometimes they will come with things from their past or their life experiences that are so relative to what you're going through right now, and you haven't even shared it. But synchronicity, mama, the time, the age, your consciousness, your ability to manifest, to seek answers, and to have them, all of that is happening right now. And we need to really get to a place within ourselves where we're we're okay with change, because change is the only constant in life, and nothing stays the same, beloveds. So right now, what we're seeing is a very anti-establishment kind of government, but we also need to know that underneath that front is the bed of the old boy network. Okay, so don't be fooled into believing it's something other than what it is. But it is what is necessary to bring about change. It is the mirror that reflects everything that we need to see right now. And we need to see deeply into ourselves. We need to see what we have allowed worldwide, globally, on this planet. We need to see the lack of unconditional love that we have extended not only to each other but to the animals and to the planet. And we need to know that it's not too late, that it only takes an awareness, a conscious collective, to bring about the changes that are necessary to raise the vibration to the state that is necessary to inspire and to influence others in a manner where they're connected with their heads and their hearts, and they add their presence to yours. And beloveds, this is what is needed to take place. The black race, the Native American race, the Latino or Hispanic race, the Asian race, and the Caucasian race. 5. Now I want you to look up that number and see what it means. But we have to come together, beloveds. We have to come together. We have to be that fist. We have to learn how to work together. And not everybody can be the flashy stand-up spokesperson, okay? Sometimes you help best from being in the background. Understand the background is just as important as being out there in front. Sometimes even more important. Okay, beloveds, that's everything that I wanted to share with you. I will be doing another video soon on reading more from the book Soul Dust. Soul Dust. The Magic of Consciousness by Nicholas Humphrey. And like I said, beloveds, this is a very powerful book, and it's so on point right now for what we need as a collective global consciousness to take place and to excuse me, to have our own consciousness expand so that we can get to the next level. And that next level is the Homo Spiritus, is being aware of ourselves as not only human beings but as spiritual beings, and being more connected with the spiritual aspect of ourselves than so much the carnal or fleshly aspect of ourselves. And that's the maturing, that's the graduation. But we have to evolve, we have to get there. And in order to get there, that means we have to leave behind the attachments, the doubt and the fear, and the thinking that we are lost or that we have to struggle. We have to become visionaries. We have to step into the mind, the soul mind of the Creator. And we have to perceive and be conscious of what her will is. And we have to be conscious of the fact that that will is expressed through unconditional love. No matter what it may seem like to us, it is about unconditional love. And as we grow and get to the next phase in our evolution, we will be able to look back and we will be able to know that all of this was necessary. Just like a baby that first has to crawl before it can walk. The crawling gives it the confidence and the motion and the sense of itself. And it helps it get a balance and a rhythm. And that child watches everybody else walking first. And it knows that it can do this too. That baby does not think it's something outside of its family. It knows that it belongs. It knows that I'm a human being just like them. I'm like them. I'm only little, but I'm like them. And I can walk and I can talk. And I watch and I know I'm such a grandmama. I keep talking about my grandbaby. But I watch him mimicking. We talk to him a lot. My family, they are talkers, and so they're very interactive with the baby. They talk to him, they get in his face, and they talk to him. And so he, in his being himself, he is starting to move his mouth now like he's talking, and it's such a beautiful thing. When my daughter told me that, she's like, Mama, I sit up here and I talk to him, and he starts moving his mouth and making these sounds like he's talking, and I'm like, I'm missing it. But it is what it is, beloveds, and I'm getting ready to go see them. So when you watch this video, I'm coming, beloveds. That's it for today, and I'm yammering, and the winds are blowing, and storms are coming, and the light is changing, and whoo, all this different stuff. So beloveds, thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe to this channel. I hope you pass on the videos. I hope they give you what you need. If you know of someone who is struggling right now, and this is the season of struggling, beloveds. This is the season where our childhoods and our pains and wounds and old wounds come home to roost for most of us. And most of us will experience some type of seasonal depression due to this, due to the body's remembrance. And beloveds, don't beat yourselves up. Understand that you are a sentient being, and that your body is used to dealing in cycles and seasons and the repeating of things. Your body remembers. If you were sad during this time, this cycle, this season, that sadness you're going to be aware of that sadness. Now, do you have to act upon it? No. Do you have to invite it in to stay? No. You can be objective. You can say, I see you. I know where you're coming from. And I send unconditional love to that part of myself that still holds that memory, or that still holds that grief. But I let you go now with unconditional love, with love, and with the trust and the knowledge in myself to do better, to know better, to be more conscious, to be more mindful, and to make better decisions, and to manifest what I need to manifest. So, beloved, speak these things into your life. Most of you really don't know how powerful you are. Most of you really don't connect with these spirit beings that are with you at all times, just waiting on you to ask for help, and not thinking that you're here as a human being all alone, and that you've got to do this, or you've got to be quiet, or you Living requires you to be present, not numb, not hiding. And believe me, I've been there. I've done them all of it, honey. I've done it all. Been there, done it, seen it, lived it. So you have to be conscious that you want to live. You have to be conscious that you want change. And then you have to consciously go after it. You have to consciously make it happen in your life. And you have to consciously censor, place borders, boundaries, or cut off anybody who does not allow you to expand in your consciousness. Anybody who denies that you have the ability to change. You have to know it within yourselves, beloveds, in order for it to happen, in order for it to take root. And you have to know you're not alone in it. So, with all of that said, beloveds, I am really getting ready to close this down now. And if my mouse will work, there we go. And I just want to say, be loved and be blessed, beloveds. Be loved and be blessed, and smile from your heart. You know, I hear people saying smile when you don't feel like smiling. I'm not for that. I'm for whatever you feel. You let your body reflect that. Just like when I'm sad and depressed and I don't want to be bothered or whatever, I'm not going to put myself in the middle of people. You know, I'm going to go hibernate somewhere until that state passes, or until I'm consciously aware of what I'm battling or what I'm dealing with. And then I'll deal with it. And that's what we all have to do. And like I said, we need to find support systems. We need to find groups, communities, beloveds. We need to commune with each other right now. We need that more than anything in this world. Find those who are like mind, like heart, like soul, who hold a consciousness that is able to expand in a positive way, that is spiritual. Okay, I'm not speaking religion here. I have not spoken religion. I'm speaking spiritual. We are all spiritual. You don't have to believe in God to be spiritual. Okay? We are all spiritual beings. And we need to start believing that fact. We need to start examining and exploring that fact. Because that fact, the fact that we are spiritual beings, is the key that allows your consciousness to expand. Because once you know and identify yourself as a spirit being, there are no limitations. You become immortal even in your thoughts. And you pass that down. And with every breath, with every conversation that you get into, you are spiritual beings. Spiritual beings being human. Exploring being human. The lower natures. To incorporate it and to grow from it. So we are learning how now to stand up and walk, because we have been crawling. And a lot of us think, oh, I've been walking and running. What the hell are you No. No, you've been crawling just like the rest of us, okay? On our belly. Crawling. Army crawling. Army crawling, okay? We're ready to get up and walk, beloveds. But in order to do that, we have to see each other. We have to see each other as other divine beings. We have to see ourselves in another being. We have to be able to have an amount of empathy and compassion. Because empathy and compassion will allow your consciousness to grow and to accept and to expand. And it won't shut you down. And your consciousness, shield yourself with your consciousness. Your consciousness is your awareness. What you know to be true. What you know to be valid. What you believe. That's your conscious. Cover yourself with it. Let it be your armor. And become more and more aware of yourself from a conscious perspective. Get into your consciousness, beloveds. I mean, it is so deep. It is so pure. It is so beautiful a thing. Beautiful of an understanding. And to deny yourself that is to deny living. You're existing. If your consciousness isn't expanding, then you are just existing. You are not living. Living is about feelings and thinking and manifesting and being in the thick of something and not running away from it at all, but exploring it and touching it and dissecting it and examining it and seeing how it fits or how it doesn't fit, and finding and describing and assembling what does fit and what you do need to do. Okay, beloveds, I'm rambling. I'm going. I love you. Big hugs and bigger smooches. Mwah.